When I first heard... Oh, my voice is really dry. Hold on, let me get a glass of water.
A few moments later.
Okay, much better. When I first heard of Ultrakill from one of my friends, I thought little of it. My incredibly naive perceptions of it was that it was some kind of FPS game, a genre which, in my infinite stupidity, I had never touched. I knew something about some obsession with coins, but surely that's just a meme. The coins can't be that crucial, can they? I downloaded Ultrakill's free demo, and within minutes I was enthralled by the extremely satisfying, fast-paced gameplay. The game mechanics, from healing to fighting to enemies, were so well thought out. I initially remember thinking it a bit strange to have a dash in a first-person game. I thought it would be very hard to control and estimate the distance you would travel, but the developers somehow made it work perfectly. The movement is extremely versatile, and whilst not as complex as something like Rain World and its 90-page movement tech guide, it still has an awful lot of optimization you can learn. And unlike something like Rain World, it doesn't require ridiculous input timings. Hitboxes and timing windows are extremely generous, making the gameplay look and feel a lot more impressive than it actually is. The controls too are extremely responsive, and every mistake makes you feel like your fault. In my 50 hours of playtime, I have not yet found a reason to blame any of my mistakes on the game, something which, according to my friends, I am very proficient in. The default keybinds, too, are very well thought out, and whilst in a game like Minecraft I had to spend years experimenting and getting used to different keybinds, I have changed one keybind in Ultrakill, and that's not even a default keybind. It's an extra optional one so I can switch weapon types faster. The pace and mechanics of Ultrakill's movement alone make it an extremely addictive game, and that's without the guns and combos and absolutely insane tech that can be pulled off. But what about the combat? Ultrakill is an FPS game after all. Well, I'm glad to say the mechanics and possibilities of the combat are as good, if not better, than the movement. You know how I mentioned that the whole community is obsessed with coins earlier? Well, now you get to hear me rant about coins and nothing but coins for a few minutes.
But exactly,
I hear you say.
What's so special about coins?
And I have one word for you. Rico shots. Rico shots are a great example of Ultrakill's combat versatility. Simply, you throw a coin from a marksman revolver and shoot it in the air, and your shot will ricochet off and target the nearest enemy's weak point, such as a headshot or a limb shot. They deal more damage than a regular shot and can be great for clearing out rooms with a few enemies, as well as shooting enemies behind you. But experiment and you'll find you can use the rail cannon, a gun found later in the game that shoots a high-powered electric beam, to hit a coin, performing an ultra Rico shot. These ultra Rico shots can also be done by shooting a coin with a charged shot from a piercer revolver, the alt fire from a sharpshooter revolver, or the fire from a malicious rail cannon. So the community classifies types of ultra Rico shots with different terms, such as a rail coin for the previously mentioned electric rail cannon plus Rico shot combo. Or maybe you'll find that the Rico shot's primary targets are other coins, and each coin a shot passes through adds 1 damage to the shot, meaning you can increase and even stack damage onto coins. But that's not even the start of coin tech. You can punch coins, split 2 shots from coins, deflect certain enemy shots with coins, stack even more damage onto different coins using a highly complex strat called dead coining. You can detonate rockets from the rocket launcher, blow up cores from a core eject shotgun. I could make a whole video on coin tech alone. Maybe I should. And that's not even scratching the surface of the 17 other weapons, including types of fist and many combos in the game. It's absurd how many options you have in any given scenario. I would give an example, but I think I'd be here all day, and I feel many of my viewers may have already nodded off to sleep. If that's you, wake up. To call Ultrakill an FPS game is an understatement. In fact, I think it would be better to call it a first-person genocide, because that's what it is. In the first level, 3 filth is a lot to deal with, but in later levels you'll be decimating tens of them at a time, whilst juggling other enemies. In the first level alone you murder 70 sinners, and you aren't even in hell yet. But the combat is so revitalising and fast-paced that it makes the game incredibly satisfying to play. And blood. Being able to heal simply by hitting an enemy may seem overpowered, but it's not, with the insane amount of damage enemies deal, and it actually adds another factor into the gameplay, which is rarely seen in FPS games. Normally in FPS you want to play defensive, make sure that you don't get hit, because you've limited healing and it's not very easy or quick to use the healing that you have. In Ultrakill, however, you have to run into enemies and be aggressive. Staying far away will kill you. And not only do you have to try and balance healing, you have to balance hard damage. Hard damage is a form of damage that temporarily stops you from healing above a certain HP. For example, when using the whiplash, the game's equivalent of a grappling hook, you build up hard damage, meaning you cannot heal as much, putting you at higher risk of being one-shot. Hard damage normally slowly goes away, and only stays for about 2 or 3 seconds, but in the heat of combat, mismanagement of healing and hard damage means those 2 or 3 seconds can send you back to the previous checkpoint in no time. Hard damage may not be particularly notable in Act 1, but once you get the whiplash or other weapons that inflict hard damage, you start to notice it more and more, and by the time you get to the end of Act 2, you will need to master hard damage management to be able to progress, or get that juicy P rank. Speaking of P ranks, let's talk about replayability. I said earlier I have 50 hours on this game. One run doesn't take 50 hours. So what does? Well, at the end of each level you receive 3 ranks. 1 on time, 1 on kills, and 1 on style. Time and kills are pretty obvious, but what's style? Style is based on many different modifiers, but put simply is how many things you kill at once, how fast you killed them, and how many times you've used each weapon. During combat, your style meter appears on the right, showing your current style as well as your style bonuses, which are specific actions you perform that give you extra style points. Every 3 seconds, your style meter decays by 1 rank, encouraging you to keep killing things, and fast to keep that golden Ultrakill rank. Style is also deducted when you take damage or die, making health management extra important. But why do you need style? Well, you know how I said earlier about how you get 3 ranks at the end of each level? If you get an S in each of those, as well as not dying at all in the level, you will receive a P rank. P for you have no luck. Perfect. P ranking every level is not an easy feat, but with all the new weapons and tactics at your disposal, your scores will slowly begin to improve. But this is not just for show. P ranking every level in each act will allow you to open secret doors somewhere in the last layer of each act. These are the prime sanctums and contain the hardest challenges the game has to offer. Each contains a prime soul, formed when a husk with immense power and influence dies. These prime souls, of which there are 2 we currently encounter in the game, are kept inside prisons of flesh, made of both angelic and demonic energy. The prisons can heal themselves, and alone are immense obstacles. The prime souls inside them are the pinnacles of skill, and no amount of replaying and P ranking can prepare you for what you will face. And that's not to mention that the second Prime Sanctum, P-2, has a whole level before it, in which you have to fight some of the hardest combinations of enemies in the game. And people have done these damageless and blindfolded. P-ranking these will require astronomical mastery and skill, as well as adaptability and incredible resilience. But when you've done all of those, been beaten to the ground, and finally prevailed, after thousands of attempts you can still do more. Secret soul orbs are hidden throughout levels, as well as challenges to complete. And some of these challenges are really difficult, whilst others are literally just find the secret button that you didn't know existed and do a few more steps than normal. Then, finally, you can rest, knowing that every level in the game is completed. And oh my god, Layer 7 is out and it's really hard! And now, let's talk about lore. This game has an incredible amount of lore, and I highly recommend playing the game before watching any lore videos. Figure it out for yourself. It's epic. Trying not to give away any spoilers about the lore whilst talking about it is really hard, so minor spoilers ahead. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about monologues. Whoever wrote the monologues and various pieces of text in this game is an absolute legend, because they are so incredibly deep and poetic. I think that the depth of the text you find just about makes up for the incorrect apostrophes in 7-1, and the monologues are just beautiful. You can really get a sense of what you're about to face, and why, be it Gabriel's anger and hatred, Sisyphus Prime's curiosity and almost apathy, or Minos Prime's thirst for revenge and liberation. You feel these speeches. The torment every character has gone through is brutal, and the voice acting is some of the best I've seen in a long time, and everything has a reason for existence. The long, spinal, no pun intended, staircase in P-1, that exists for a reason. Gabrielle getting slightly less mad midway through your second fight with him, that exists for a reason too. Sisyphus Prime's hands and feet being covered in blood during his second phase, whilst Minos Prime's aren't, that exists for a reason. The Earth Move's feet being stuck to the ground in 7-4, that exists for a reason. That one random Maurice in 1-1, that exists for a reason. Probably. I think. Okay, fine. Maybe not that one, but you get the point. There is so much more I want to say about the lore and how much I love it, but I really don't want to spoil it. Finally, the music. This game's soundtrack is incredible. Hikito really cooked with this one. I really like video game soundtracks, but I think this has to be the second best video game soundtrack I've heard. The emotion in the pieces is jaw-dropping. You can really feel the desperation in Order and the rage in the death of God's will. Songs like Tenebre, Rosso, Sangue are just straight up awesome and make you feel like you're the main character in some kind of movie. And others like Take Care really immerse you in the outdated yet new technology feel everything has in the game. As a musician, I really appreciate the simplicity and effectiveness of the pieces that make them feel so much more powerful than some overly complicated track. The constant breakcore and drumming makes it feel so alive and makes you feel powerful. The music doesn't just enhance the experience, it elevates it to a whole new level. You almost feel like you're in a montage of sorts, with the speed and power given to you through the gameplay. And the expert use of certain chord sequences and patterns to bring out emotion is stunning. I noticed I said bring out, not force. So many game soundtracks force you to feel the emotions, and it only works if you're engaged. Ultrakill, however, feeds off human emotions and desire to make it feel like the game is engaged with you. It's incredibly exhilarating. Heaven Piercer, the alias that Hikito uses for music production, also makes use of leitmotifs, something that I personally adore. To have a specific idea or character represented within a piece of media by simply a string of certain notes or a particular pattern is such a cool idea, and Ultrakill uses this perfectly. Some are subtle, like the 1-3 harpsichord making a reappearance in 6-1, and some are more obvious, like the Requiem leitmotif in Order. Or the Sands of Tide leitmotif in War. They really help link certain parts of the game and its lore, and the instrumentation is also amazing. As a saxophonist, I would have never expected to hear a saxophone part in a breakcore song, but Hikito made it fit so well. In conclusion, Ultrakill is one of the greatest games I have ever played, and if any of what I've talked about sounds interesting to you, then I highly recommend checking out the game. If you're unsure, like I was, the demo is free and features the first 6 levels in the game. And whilst it's quite mechanically outdated, particularly on the weapons and coins, it's a great introduction as to what to expect from Ultrakill. Finally, thank you for watching. These kinds of videos take a very long time to produce, and it would be really appreciated if you could subscribe or like the video. I plan to make more essay-style videos in the future on other video games and topics, but I have a very busy school life and I may not be able to consistently upload. Thanks for watching.